Tightspot 2.5, first looks and review. So what is cool and unique about this glorious new first time two-piece quiver for Tightspot is a couple of things. One, it's 9.6 ounces, including your mounting hardware. It's pretty light for a quiver, not too shabby. It is insanely adjustable, can kind of position the hood and the gripper almost anywhere on just about any bow. And they do provide you with mounting brackets for pretty much every brand. So this will go on a Hoyt, a Mathews, a Bowtech, a PSE, an Expedition, Prime, Martin, whatever other brand you want to probably think of. It should typically go on it as long as there's mounting holes in the riser, two little positions here. We've got a Bowtech solution here sitting here with a Hamskea rest on it, which is a rest that sticks out more than most, where you typically do run into a problem with an arrow running into the rest. So we're going to try it on this first. I have not looked at this at all before today, so you're getting my literally first impressions as I pop it open. So let's do that. Ooh, drop some parts. All right. Let's see, gotta snip a couple of thingies off here. Individual mounting hardware. Got some clippers or scissors or something. There we go. Thank you, sir. Bunch of zippy ties here. There's one part. Whew. It's really light. Yeah, basically just looks like their normal lower gripper for probably a left hand inverted and then machined. So it's not actually sleeved in here at all. It's actually a one-piece machine part there. It's like little clamps in two different sizes of carbon that slide in and out, so you can expand and contract a bunch and really adjust your angle and move your left to right in pretty much infinitely. That's cool. That looks really nice, and that doesn't really feel like it weighs anything. I'm willing to bet this is obviously a bit heavier, but it'd be interesting to see how much. In fact, I want to make it a little easier on us. So forewarning, it may take you longer to get it out of the package than it takes you to put it on the bow. Gotcha. Okay. Take that, thanks. Looks like the same. Yeah, it's glued in here into that plastic, but it looks like the same hood. It's about the same thickness. They put foam in it this time. That's cool instead of the rubber. I kind of went away from that a while ago. I do like the foam. Same dowels that are smaller that slide into a bigger with a clamp on it. That looks pretty cool. So let's see what this looks like on the bow. We've got a triangle shaped bracket in this Bowtech. So let's find the triangle dowel. So this comes with, that's your Mathews dowel. It's a hex dowel, so that's a couple different bows that are like that. That's your triangle, which is probably your most common. And you just put this insert in between the quiver and the bow. And that goes through there, and then that's probably, yeah, a washer, I'm betting goes on the end there. And go into it. Yeah. Or down in. Nah, that's got to go down in. That's probably for the Mathews portion. Yeah, that goes down inside there. So we'll give that a whirl. So if this takes me a little longer than it should, I apologize. I've never put one on yet. We just got them, so. That looks about right there. Nope. Next one up. Keep going. You can start to feel it tighten up there. There we go. Cool. Tighten it up from the other side until it gets real snug. It sucks it into the bracket. And there you go. Okay, so before we mess with anything, that's how it's going to look on your bow. So these dowels here slide in and out as much or as little as you want. So at this point, now that it's on here, put an arrow in it. Move this out a little bit so you're not touching the limb. So you're going to want to probably get this as close as you can without actually hitting anything, in hopes that you're keeping your weight as central to the bow as possible. That's probably going to need to come out some. So let's grab a couple arrows and stick it in it here. We'll just use our Crony ones and stick 3 in here. So we got 1 closest to you, 1 in the middle. Sorry if I smack you with that. And 1 on the end here. Get an idea for look. Okay. So for starters, we're clearing the rest here with just a little bit, and you've got your hood just barely off of the limb. We could probably bring that in a little bit, but not a ton. But that is what is so cool about this, is you can really move it a ton. I mean, you can get down in there just like that. And now when you look at it, I am literally like about a piece of paper off of that spring. So I'm not actually touching the arrow, but damn if I ain't as close to it as possible. And then you can just tighten everything down and leave it there, and you don't have to worry about putting it on, moving it around, etc. So I want to see what this looks like when we back this thing up to where a traditional tight spot that I would put on would be like. So it looks like, to me, it's really well thought out. Like the ability to move things and adjust things, how it works is massively, massively thought out. So good on you, Tight Spot, for putting a lot of thought into what you did here. There's no way you couldn't have with how much you did to this. So let's pull that out of there. I'd like to see how far back I can get this mounted. Now, if you think this thing's going to be fast to play with, it's not. You're going to be messing with it a lot to get it where you want it. So your install time is going to be quite a bit longer than a traditional quiver, and you're going to have to do some serious thinking about it as you do it. But I like to think it'll probably be well worth it. We did just get a shipment of these in. I think we've got about 10 of them, and we do have them up on our website. If you decide this is the quiver for you, feel free to hop on over there to do it. So you can lay this thing all the way back like that, looks like. That's really cool. I mean, that's a long ass ways back. That'll get your back arrow behind your rest altogether. I'm interested to see if how that feels like that. Oh, got it. So I think I'd want it about vertical like there. This is what really had me intrigued, is if I could actually move my quiver back farther and get it tight to where maybe the arrow didn't touch the rest. That was pretty interesting to me. Everything seems to snug up real good when you really reef on it. And once you got it really where you'd want it, it would be worthwhile or behoove you to really reef it down a little bit. But if we can get this to where this goes behind, we can bring the gripper in a lot more and keep that profile out. So the more you get your quiver in to the side of the bow, the less side weight you need to make it feel balanced. It's the quiver traditionally is why your bow feels like it wants to flop over. Now don't get me wrong, your arrow rest and your sight are contributing to it because it's on that same side, but nothing sticks out farther than your quiver traditionally. So if you can get this thing like really in, that would be sweet. Make it a really, really awesome quiver. Now, I know it doesn't easily detach, and I get that, but honestly, if you're going to carry the weight with you anyway, I leave it on the bow. I get in a tree stand, I get in a ground blind, and I leave my quiver on my bow because I balance my bow to the extent that the quiver's in so far that it doesn't feel like it's out of balance, and it actually makes you shoot better. Part of the reason I don't shoot a back bar on my setup is because my quiver's back so far. I already have back weight because of my quiver. And why not use the weight that you already have to your advantage? Because you're carrying it anyway. You might as well put it in a better position to help you instead of hinder you. So I got that loose. Let's loosen these guys up. Hey, I remembered the right one. So sweet. Alright. How far will this let me go, position-wise? There we go. So angle-wise, you're going to have to be somewhere in here, but man, look at how far back that is. Oh, this is going to be able to come in so much, it's freaky. So once I get it set in an ideal position, because your limb's going to go down, so we need to make sure, if we're going to tuck it in this tight, that your limb doesn't actually touch it. So we'll have to dry fit it and drop back and see if it actually touches or not. I'm still in the shot, okay. But this is very, very, very intriguing to me. I'm excited to stick an arrow in here and see if it actually touches or not. Nobody's made a quiver that would go this far out of the way to where, in my honest opinion, it just completely eliminates anybody's real need for a back bar. If you just use a sidebar mount to move your stabilizer over, you wouldn't need anything else to get this to really feel like it was level and not tippy at all, I think. But we'll see. Like I said, first looks. I haven't played with it at all, but I'm really intrigued at this point, now that I can actually get my hands on one. All right, so let's see. Does that clear the arrow rest in the last gripper? Oh, look at that. That's clearing it by an inch. Dang near. So you can absolutely tuck this in. So let's see how far we can bring it in now that it's going to clear behind the arrow rest, and then you don't need to move it out. Holy crap, folks. Man, that's really in there. That's like really, really in there. I don't know if the limb's going to clear that, but we'll see. I'm sure there's a way to adjust it down a little more if it need to. But yeah, that's a big long span between the hood and the gripper, so it's going to keep your arrows relatively quiet. And look at how much clearance I got. I mean, granted, my last one is right at the end of the string, so it's super easy to grab that last one. Man, I'm pumped. That's really cool. All right, let's see if the limb actually touches. Something tells me it might move that far, but we'll see. Yep, it's touching. So either we got to be able to take it down lower, or we're going to have to bring it out a little bit to where it clears the limb. But your gripper can still stay in that far too. So let's see if I can position that a little more back. This would go down just a half an inch lower. We could clear it. But I wonder, yeah. I bet you can reposition this bracket and it changes the pressure point on it and moves it. I'm willing to bet you. And can I... You hadn't put one of these on somebody's bow yet, had you?
It's really cool.
It is really cool. Now that they're finally shipping them. My God, it took forever to get one. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Come on. That's moving, that's moving. I gotta be about there, I think. There's just so many screws. So I guess if I had to nitpick, there is a lot of hardware in here that you got to triple check and make sure is tight. But I mean, you couldn't make something this adjustable and not have this much hardware. There's just no way you could do it, I would think. So, all right, let's try her again. Obviously, you're going to want to tighten all this stuff down like really crazy tight, but we're clearing the limb now. And the quiver's almost behind the limb. I mean, that is insane how far back that is. You see how far back that's positioned. So, and that's just, honestly, like I said, first looks, and we're just starting to play with it. I guarantee you there's a whole bunch of different ways I can reposition and manipulate and move things. I can probably get the gripper down lower, which for myself I probably would, because I always try to get the gripper as close to the fletchings as possible, because it makes the arrows vibrate less. The farther you can less movement you can keep this from happening, the quieter it's going to be. But that is hands down the coolest quiver I have ever seen. That does some really amazing stuff that you really can't do justice on until you do something like this, where you put it on a bow and move it around and look at where you can put it. And granted, we haven't shot it, so, but it feels, if you tighten everything down, it feels real rigid. Like, I bet you it's just as quiet as a traditional tight spot with way more adjustability. But to me, the biggest thing, it's clearing here. So you can actually really bring the arrows in. Like a traditional one usually doesn't clear here, and you're sitting out another, what, half inch probably to clear that spring in position. So your bow's just that much farther over. Man, this is a really cool quiver. They are $200 if I remember right. They're like $199. If we can figure out how to post the link to our website in this video, we've never tried to do that before. If we can figure out how to do that, we'll go ahead and post the link to our website for this quiver on there. If you want to check it out over at podiumarcher.com for all your archery needs. This is a $200 quiver, so it would be free shipping. We got like 8 of them. I have like another 30 or 40 coming at various stages. But man, what a cool quiver. I know it's just a quiver, but man, that's a really awesome quiver. So hit that like, hit that subscribe. Any other products or reviews or whatnot that you want to see, just put it in the messages or in the comments. Let me know what you're looking for. We'll try to review and talk about every part we can possibly get our hands on to try to get you guys more aware of what's out there and give you as much of an honest opinion about what exists as possible. Thanks for checking us out. Tune in until next time.